know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Buku signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal, yeah, I battle through these.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. And I don't know if you guys are new to the show or you've been here since day one, but you might remember this guest. Andrea Urciuoli is back. And guys, she has been on the show since before COVID, so I really appreciate her being here. So welcome her. And guys, we kind of got into this topic for today. Well, first, Andrea, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Hey, Billy.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be back.
Yeah.
It feels great. So thank you for calling me and having me back on the show.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm like antsy to get this message out there because it's a good one.
It's juicy, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. Guys, we talked about COVID before this thing started because, as I said, I haven't seen Andrea since before COVID. And we got on this topic of this COVID mind that so many people are kind of stuck in right now. In the past videos, we may have mentioned this COVID itself or struggles or problems that people deal with. But this COVID mind where people may feel they're at rock bottom or they're feeling depressed or anxious or they're stuck on all those Zoom calls and it's just draining. No one really gives themselves the chance to kind of get to the next layer or the next level that they're growing towards. And when Andrea and I were talking, Andrea has been able to dedicate time during COVID to getting to the next level. When she started, she was studying yoga, practicing yoga, helping people do yoga. And now, through dedicating her time to it, she's gone to the next level to try and help people inwardly, healing trauma and healing herself through trauma, these aspects that she's going to teach us today. And then I sat there and thought about myself, like through all COVID, there has been a specific piece of me that wants to continue to grow. And from the level I started at before COVID, I've now, in my own eyes, gone to another level of spirituality and trying to grow, trying to raise your awareness, trying to understand more about what we're here for. And I believe COVID is a time where we're all meant to grow into our higher self or grow closer to God, whatever terminology you want to use, but it's meant to be a time to grow. So we're talking with Andrea today, we want to go over how you can kind of take a different perspective and try to grow for yourself or heal some trauma for yourself that you may not even know is there, but what Andrea's going to present today may help you. So Andrea, let's kind of dive into it. Like, what's this new level you've reached?
Well said, by the way. Such a good speaker, isn't he? That's why I like coming here because you and I could feel a little bit like, oh, do you want to do a show or a podcast? And then as soon as we sit down,
right.
we start to unravel what we've been working on for the past year. The energies just gel and blend because we are on the same path. Everybody wants to feel good. I mean, let's not like sugarcoat it. COVID stinks. Nobody wants to be in lockdown. Nobody wants to not see your friends or family. And I have friends and family that do not see each other at all. And that cannot feel good inside.
Oh, yeah.
What is happening? Because humans are meant to be together. We are meant to not sit behind a, screen and look at, a figment of whatever that person is. I mean, we're supposed to be together, hugging, touching, sharing stories, fist pump, and the fact that we do it on a small level here and there, but it's not the same. Meant to be a relationship value. So the last time that you and I met, and I don't know the month, but it was way before the summer.
Yeah.
I was talking about I'm Reiki certified. I believe in energy healing. We have a ton of different energy bands in our bodies that can get clogged up. So I do believe in Reiki. I believe in meditation and yoga, and we have talked about that many times of living in the present moment, trying not to think about what happened last week unless it was a great memory. If it was a bad memory, why would you dwell on that? That's going to cause panic and anxiety in your body, and it's not going to allow you to move forward. And also not to speak of next week. And I don't mean next week like, oh, you have a little party going on and you're so excited about it and you feel that warmth in your chest. That's not what I mean. If you have an appointment next week that you're worried about, that's not going to help the situation either. 9 out of 10 times, all these philosophers say, Eckhart Tolle and whoever you follow, that thing never happens.
Yeah.
We create it in our minds.
Yeah.
So if you stay in the present moment with breath work, and I talk about breath work all the time because we don't breathe enough. And now that we're in COVID, you need to take your mask off when you can and breathe.
Yeah.
So the next layer that I decided to dive into, because I'm in hybrid lockdown a little bit with my kids, and this has been some really challenging times, and we've had some great times too. It's called energy medicine. This is energy medicine yoga. This is another layer. It is not a downward dog or crescent pose or whatever. I sort of infused it in my yoga practice.
Okay.
And just briefly, I want to say that we have all experienced some level of trauma in our lives. We either have a very high pain body from severe trauma or a very low pain body from something that may have happened in our past life or our childhood. So there's something usually happening in our system that we need to release. So energy medicine yoga sort of plays on your meridians, and your body is filled with these meridians, these energy centers, these bands. But these bands are what give us life force and what keeps us alive. We have all these emotions, happy and sad, but when you start thinking of the past, or you start going through some not great memories, your energy centers, your meridians get clogged. And these truly simple modalities of, there's just some sort of tapping technique that I could go through with breath work that can quickly release it so you feel more energized, ready to conquer your day.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. That's
Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. And the energy aspect of it is powerful stuff. And we mentioned that before in past videos where, if you're meditating, if you're praying, if you're doing something, your energy levels are growing. And with what Andrea just brought up, these meridians, like, until we talked before, I didn't know what meridians were, like, prior to the video. And you think about that, and this tapping work that Andrea can show us an example of in a little while, it's a factor that to me makes sense, because we do get stressed over so many situations, whether it is the past stuff, whether it is the future stuff. If we hold on to that stress, that goes somewhere. And if we're clogging ourselves, we are struggling to get past that. We're starting to grow out of that. And like she mentioned, this tapping work, I'm sitting there, when she explained it to me, I was like, if you think about it, if you're tapping on these energy centers, whether it's a major energy center or it's a small energy center, you're dispersing that. And Andrea gave me an example of it before we started, and she was able to stand up and go through some other things that she's learned. And I'm sitting there, and she's moving her body. She has this movement coming. When we get up and start moving, or we're just tapping, like, I love how she gives the tapping examples in the chair, because if you're someone who has to work on the computer on Zoom during this whole COVID time, and you're sitting there all day and you're just draining yourself, Andrea gave me the example, you could do this during the day and just sit there. You may not be able to leave the Zoom call, but you could just start doing it. But it's spreading that stress. It's letting go of that stress. It's getting that stress out of you. It's distributing the energy to help you feel better. Just as if you got up, and truthfully, just like say you got up and went to the gym. Why the gym helps us so much is, if you want to look at it from a regular perspective, it gets the endorphins flowing, all right? So it gets the energy flowing in you. Or if you go to the gym and you're moving so much, it sets you up for the rest of the day. Like, I go in the gym in the morning because it sets the rest of my day. I'm getting so much movement in. Some people can't do that. Some people need exactly what Andrea's bringing to the table today. And I want to put out there that this is one aspect that helps you distribute your energy. The cool thing with talking with Andrea is she always brings me a different perspective. The stuff that she's learning and stuff that I'm learning, they coincide so well, which is why we're able to talk about it. And sometimes my learning may take me this way, Andrea's may take her this way. But
then we meet.
Exactly. We're able to see each other's perspectives. So, like I said, the world is filled with so many different ways to say a very similar message of distribute the energy, to let go of the stress, to heal the childhood trauma that Andrea just talked about. And during this COVID time, I think there's a lot of people that are given this time to try to heal that. So that being said, Andrea, Give us one of these examples.
All right, so I'm just going to dive one in. These are super, Billy just said this perfectly. You're sitting at your desk, you're looking at your calendar, you know, whether you have kids or not, and you're getting your mug of coffee or whatever your go-to drink is in the morning, your tea, your water.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at your screen and you're like, oh, I have 9 Zoom calls today. It's pouring rain out.
Yeah.
I can't get out anywhere. I'm not even going to go to the grocery store. You start to feel immediate, almost stress in your body.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to do anything exciting. I mean, if you love your job and it's Zoom all day, that's great. I mean, sometimes I love my Zoom calls because I get to work with some pretty great people, and other days they're just okay. Yeah. But this sort of gets not just the blood moving, because I know working out and running a mile and doing a yoga practice or lifting weights can also do that. This releases old energy in your body. And that fresh new energy has to come in. That is why EM yoga, that's what we call it. And I'm not gonna go into a downward dog. We're just gonna do a simple tapping modality. So the first thing that we do is it's called thumping. You thump your chest. Like I can already feel it, that my heart sometimes right here. So this is your collarbone. Drop down a couple of inches and start tapping. This is a really important meridian in your body. There's a lot of stress and anxiety. There's a lot of thought in here. This is a huge energy center. This is called your K12.
Let me ask.
Yeah.
Is there so many energy centers there because, like you said, like it's your heart is such a significant piece of you, and that's why it gets so filled up?
Yes.
Okay.
And what happens when you think too much?
Yeah.
About something negative?
Yeah.
You feel achy.
Yeah.
Like the broken heart syndrome. We feel it right here.
Okay.
So we got to release some of that. And sometimes I go a little harder. And when this is achy, it doesn't necessarily mean my heart's broken today. Sometimes I feel it's sore. I have some dead energy that I got to get up. So I just start thumping, and you know, sometimes I'm waiting on a phone call from one of my boys, or I have a meeting in 5 or 6 minutes. I do this before I brush my teeth, before I wash my face. That's a thumping modality.
Yeah.
Breath work. I'm just going to sit here like in chair yoga, like I used to teach, you know, my dementia patients. Just a full deep breath and a big stretch. I can already feel my lats, like my lats are just starting to drop. Tuck your belly in. Go into prayer mode and take 3 audible breaths before you see your family. And it looks like this, looks kind of silly. You're cupping your mouth, so it's in through the nose, out through the mouth, 3 like that. So that's after I do the thumping. Then there's a lot of stuff being done on the floor too, but I'm gonna skip a few, and this is like the 5-minute tutorial.
I want to give you an example.
Yeah.
The breathing thing, Andrea mentioned at the start of this video, breathing is such a major piece of yoga, of meditation, of just life in general. And I learned recently that breathing, why it's so important in these areas and just in life.
Yes.
Not just to keep
I'm
you
doing
living,
it now. I have
right?
to like keep going with it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm glad you're...
The breathing, it's truly the only thing that keeps you in the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the present. That's the ticket.
That, I never knew that till recently. That's why it's so important in yoga, in meditation, and everything, because it brings you back to this moment. You're not thinking about the past where these traumas may have been. You're not thinking about the future anxieties. You're truly here.
Yeah.
And so when Andrea brings up, you're breathing, you're focusing on your breath, you're doing these 3 deep breaths, that's to get you centered.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. So when I'm so glad you said that at that moment, because he needed to chime in with that. That's why we work so well together. If you stop for a second, so try this at home. If you start with in through the nose, out through the mouth, your ears hear that sound of wind. Your brain isn't going to, I need to go buy milk and eggs and I have a meeting in 10. You don't go there. For that moment, and even though it's 2 seconds, you shift. Now, can you imagine if you did that for 10 minutes? Can you imagine what your brain, what we need to do is get out of old patterns and start to train the brain to get into new patterns. And we've talked about this before, and I don't mean to veer off, but if you get up in the morning and have that same cup of coffee in that same mug, drive down the same street, go to the same gym, see that same person, you're in a pattern. Yeah. React the same way to your kids. Ignore the same message that you always ignore. Good habits and bad habits that we also have. If you keep up with that, you're never going to change your life for the better. So these modalities that I do for myself, and I also teach and I incorporate these techniques into my yoga practices, and sometimes I don't do yoga. Sometimes I only do EM yoga, which is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all I have time for, is that 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I do 10 because I like the breath work part of it. I feel better than if I just got up and washed my face and put some clothes on and then I went to see somebody. I don't feel like I got rid of my stuff from yesterday.
Yeah.
So this clarity, this is a great one. So we're gonna do the hands now. So we're gonna rub our hands together. This is better done with some hand cream, or I keep a big thing of castor oil, hand oil in my house, because I do my energy centers in my feet daily and my hands. There are a ton of energy centers, meridians in your hands and feet. It's not these veins, it's just these inner points. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your thumb and you're just gonna rub down in between each finger. These are called your gullies. I can already feel it. Like if you try it, if you press down hard in between each finger, then go back to the finger and squeeze the tip. You're squeezing, I already feel it. It's almost, sometimes it's painful. You got some stuck energy in there. And then, I'm gonna use a great metaphor in 2 seconds. Then you go like this, flick, 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 get rid of it. Shake it off, other side. Now you're gonna do this whole thing to your hand, inside the gullies, and then you're gonna do your fingertips. This is great when you are just not getting out of that house. You haven't seen us, or just whenever. And then you do your wrist, flick, 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 and flick it off, and then do your feet. A great metaphor. Humans are great at criticizing, judging, judging ourselves, judging other people, looking at someone saying, oh, the person doesn't look good, they're overweight, they look, humans are great at the attack of how, you know what, something happened to me, why should she be happy? We are great at causing conflict, fighting. We're perfect at it. So animals, this was a great example from Eckhart Tolle. Picture this, picture 2 ducks or 2 geese, and they're at it. They're starting to peck each other. And it lasts for like a moment or two. This is so great because I've seen it. Then they separate. And what happens to the 2 geese is they walk and they start to flutter their wings, just like I'm doing right now. There's this whole other energy thing that I do. And I start to flicker. You know what they're doing? They're dispersing negative energy. That is why they flutter. They flap their wings. There's like a muscle, and they start to flap. And guess what? Their bodies are calm, and they walk, and they start to feed the ducks. And like you see it in animals, how it's just the way they release excess energy, and they do this all day long.
Gotcha.
So I think it's really cool. So after I do that, I do my feet, and then this is called the zip up. So it's one more deep breath up, and then I tent my hands like so. I place them on my collarbone, my heart chakra. I do 3 audible breaths again. And then there's a meridian that runs through your core. And this one's really cool if you suffer from vertigo, nausea, or you're just feeling like someone just screamed at me on my Zoom call and I'm freaking out. So you take your 2 fingers and you place them inside your belly button, and the other 2 in between your eyebrows. There's something inside of us. There's a connect. They're all connected, but this is a big one. And sort of pull up the skin a little bit, close your eyes, and do those 3 audible breaths. It's pretty awesome. You can do it in the car.
Gotcha.
Some people, I know somebody that does this while she's driving, because you don't want to do all that stuff while you're driving. People are going to think you're crazy. But if you're going into a meeting and you're feeling like, I don't feel good about this, I'm nervous, just place your 2 fingers inside this little cavity here. There's a meridian. Press down lightly. You're driving. Nobody will even know. You can stay here for about 10 or 15 seconds. All of this stuff releases old energy.
Gotcha.
And it works.
Yeah.
Woo!
No, that's fine. I appreciate that. I appreciate you going over that. And you did it very quickly. So I appreciate that.
You know that I don't know how to talk slow.
That was good.
I get excited because it does work, and you got to try something different. You got to go to another layer.
That's what I was going to say right there. Trying something, like whether it's different or just trying something. And with where everyone's at right now with COVID, majority of us have time to try something new.
Yeah.
And honestly, whether that's doing what Andrea just depicted, which, you know, if you look at Andrea from the start of this video to when she was doing it to where she is now, she was able to say that it was working. And then I could see it. Andrea's energy was on high.
It changes.
Exactly.
And there's one, I don't mean to interrupt, Billy, but there's one huge one that grounds you, and we all need to get more centered. And there are these bones. This is like your cheekbone right underneath your eyes. This one's magnificent. It's called the thumping process. And so after this, you go right to the cheekbones. I actually do it in like a chair pose. So I get a little bit of a burn on my quads. It's like just part of a quick workout. So you just start to thump these cheekbones, and you do the audible breath, which means in through the nose, out through the mouth. When this whole process is happening, so you're gonna thump, and then you're gonna thump, and then you're gonna raise your hands, you're gonna breathe, and then you're gonna do some meridian clearing. The whole thing takes like 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not exact on the time, exactly. And then you might just say, good morning to your family or whoever, or you're by yourself. You feel a little bit better. But the face, this is the grounding. I feel centered today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I want to make sure we mention on this, which you and I talked about prior to putting the camera on, in everything Andrea just did, the goal was to help her feel better, feel energy, get rid of stress, to heal in some aspect, to distribute that energy in your body. So that was the goal, meaning that was the intention. And so when Andrea is stepping into this, her intention is to feel better, no matter how better, no matter small, good, right? And so that's why I want to make sure you guys understand. When you're doing this, you're not just doing it because we told you to do it. You're doing it for a reason. And when you can have that reason in your mind, your intention, like, you know what? Nothing else has worked for me, but I watched that video, that once a week episode, and Andrea was there and she taught me this stuff. That's your intention right there. I'm going to try it to feel what Andrea depicted to me feeling. That's saying your intention. And when you set your intention, you open up the doorway for you to feel something new. And whether you try what Andrea described, whether you try something else, it comes down to why you're doing it. And I completely believe, Andrea, that this has worked for her and what we've talked about earlier today. And it could be your answer right there for what works for you. But during this entire COVID time, you got to try something. You got to try something new. And if what you've been doing hasn't worked, if all you're doing is Zoom calls, as Andrea described and I talked about, you need something new in your life. And if we're still zoned off from going on in the world, unless you really kind of just go for it, why not? If you have your entire day filled and all you got is 3 to 7 minutes,
try something else. And Bill, you said it perfectly. Set the intention of the day. So I set my intention. If I look at my calendar and I'm like, I only have about 7 free minutes today. Wow. Yeah. Probably more than that, but we build in our brains. We're great at building layers, and then you finally do find the hour, and you chose to get a cheeseburger instead of do 25 minutes of yoga. We all do some of our bad patterns too. But if you can carve out, and after I do that, this is called the pull-up, I try to set, I set the intention of the day, and I say, you know what? Today's going to be a great day. I don't sit there and say it is lousy out. The weather is bad. I can't go out. I'm stuck with whatever comes out of your mouth, you are going to manifest in 2 seconds into your day. I look out and I acknowledge the weather. It isn't great out today, but I set the intention that I am gonna, get some coffee and deliver it to my parents who are 81 years old. I am gonna call 2 friends today. I have something to read. I'm gonna light my fire. I'm gonna eat something nutritious. Set the intention of that it'll change the entire day. Even if you are trapped and you are stuck on 25 Zoom calls, you can't leave your desk and you didn't go food shopping, it will still make you energized to make better choices. So when something is thrown at you, you have an irate boss or somebody's yelling at you, you just go into one of these modalities and you're less, you're not going to react negatively because you're going to say to yourself, I'm grounded, I'm centered, and I got this.
Exactly. And Andrea went over setting your intentions for bring coffee to her parents or taking a nutritious snack. I sit there and I set my intentions the second I wake up. I have my moment to myself or whatever. I say a quick prayer, but then I set my intention for the day. Mine is always just to find some joy in the day and there's some aspect of love in the day. There's something. The day, I could have all my clients and just had terrible sessions, but there's that one session at the very end of the day where it just goes off and it's just incredible. And I'm like, there it is. But when you set that intention, you're not only welcoming it into your day, but you're asking to be surprised. And if you need that excitement, I think excitement's another factor that distributes the energy.
Yes.
We need those good positive emotions and positive feelings. And if you're setting intention, like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to feel joy today. I'm going to feel love today. I'm going to feel excitement today. You're going to be able to bring that in, and then you're on the lookout. You're trying to find it. You don't know how, but it keeps you on edge. So you're not stressed about work. You're saying, like, something good is going to happen to me today. That's your intention.
Yes.
And that right there sets the tone. Incredible.
So just really quick, before we end the video, for an example, so I got up and I looked at my calendar on a Saturday, and it was all the minutia stuff. I was late to get my oil change, and then all of a sudden, right when I was doing that, he couldn't save me. My phone broke. I had to go to all these little, like 4 things broke in my life, important things, and I felt stressed. And then I knew I was having a friend come over to do something I'm like, wow. I was grateful not to have my children because I wouldn't want to take them around on all these not very fun errands. So I felt the stress building in my body. How am I going to accomplish this on Halloween, by 4:30 when I see my kids? I was so stressed, and I allowed these thoughts. And meanwhile, nothing was major. We're talking phone, oil change, the garage door had to be fixed, my friend had to stop by. Nothing was life-threatening. But you know what I did? I manifested that I wasn't going to get it done in time. And then I stopped and I said, go do a clearing. So I found some space before I got all this stuff done, and I did my hands. I did my meridians in my feet, which is super important. Do the gullies, like between your toes, flip your foot. Do right here. It will release so much junk. You'll feel it coming out of you. It's pretty amazing. And then the girl that was coming over, my dear friend, I hadn't seen her in a while. When she came over, I forgot how she's always calm. I'm a little bit more hyper. She's always calm. And I had a bunch of questions for her. And the way she responded to me was, oh yeah, you just do it like this. And you just do it like that. And I said, oh my God, I have all this stuff going on. And she's like, oh yeah, me too. And I'm like, she was not, she centered me.
That's awesome.
So what I'm trying to tell you is be careful who you hang out with too. She's such a positive energy, even though she's got all this junk in her life and things aren't so fabulous all the time. She was centered and grounded, and she tackled all of her things by 4 o'clock. All of my things were done, and I actually had a great night last night.
That's awesome.
At a little Halloween thing, and I saw my kids. But be careful hanging around with somebody with a little bit of toxicity, and you know it because you can feel it here and here and here. You start to remove those people out of your lives if it doesn't have a positive additive.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. It's a good way to close it out too. But Andrea, I thank you so much for being on the show and just depicting that to us. That's a whole new area, And so again, guys, as we said when we started the video, Andrea has been able to step into the next layer of her learning and her teaching. I've been able to do that on my own right with everything that I'm diving into. What layer can you grow in, or what layer can you step into just to find the next layer of you? And if we have all this time, because no one knows when COVID's going to end. Some people could say it's the election. Some people could say next year. No one knows, but use your time wisely. And I think this entire time is meant to get us to look at ourselves to how we can be better. So how can you be better? It could be stepping into Andrea just brought up. It could be stepping into something else that we put up in another video. Take the time to look at yourself and see what that means for you. Set your intention to find it. You're going to find it. But Andrea, again, I thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Looking
Thanks,
forward
guys.
to the next one. Guys, like we always do, like this message, all right? Let's get that number up. Let's spread it to more people. If this sparked you in some way, or something we said sparked you, or someone else popped into your head when we were going over this, when Andrea was talking about her stuff, that's a sign to you to send this to that specific person, all right? Share this message to them. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. Share it to that specific person. And then lastly, guys, hit that subscribe button. Let's get that up. Let's keep it growing. And guys, if you or anyone you know is in need of support with anything or help from anything, or just want to step into this transformational aspect, go to BillyGLifeCoaching.com, set up a free call with me. I'll be right there for you. Guys, I thank you for tuning in.
Awesome. Thanks, Billy.
Have a good one, guys, all right? See ya.
Bye.
know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving